We're live.
Great.
Really looking forward to this. Thank you for having us.
Of course, I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, just an introduction. This is Arjun. He's a graduate TA. Everybody loves you. You carry the class. You make such a complicated class so easy for us. So, yeah, just hats off to you.
Thank you so much. I'm actually honored to be here. To be honest, with this class, there's a lot of concepts, a lot of things that we learn every day, right? And it's only like, let's say Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so about 45, 50 lectures or so. It's hard to fit everything into there, including the review and stuff like that. So you guys have been very helpful with these review sessions and open up, rooms to let me do that for about a couple hours and whatnot. And I think people benefit from these. So with your help, it definitely helps.
Yeah, so like how do you find the time, to lead the class and to also handle your own studies?
So when I first started as a graduate student, actually it was strange. So I usually have a lot of time on my hands because I end up getting things done. And as you know, I'm usually a night owl. So I end up, you know, sometimes staying up nights. And over the years, I've kind of gotten used to that. So it's become a norm. So I get things done overnight, over the day, and I have a lot of free time. So then I use that free time. And it's something I learned from my mother. Her brain never stops working. She always is working at night, working during the day. So she inspired me to do that. So when, I became a graduate student, I thought, well, I'm becoming a TA. I was originally a TA for machines and mechanisms. Originally, when I first started, it was a little bit hard because I had to remember what I did in machines and whatnot. So it was a bit of a blur. So sometimes overnight, I would try to go back and learn those concepts. Try to use that time overnight, try to develop notes, maybe helpful review sessions, formulate these so this way I can lead a class. And the reason I joined grad school was because I could become a professor. So doing this kind of stuff really helps. So when it came to heat transfer, I kind of already had that experience of formulating sort of a set of ingredients to help lead a class, manage time for myself. If I'm free after making a set of notes or a set of lectures or maybe a set of extra credit problems, I'll have time to do my own studies, which I do research. So I'll end up doing my stuff on research. So I split my time evenly. And I know my cutoff point. So I know that if I did a lot for heat transfer, I'm going to cut one thing off, move on to my research, and then whatever free time I have, I spend it at home.
That is very inspiring. So what motivated you to become a professor or
Um,
work towards being a professor?
well, when I was an undergraduate, I was kind of scared of joining industry. Like I looked at all these equations and whatnot, that we see in our classes, like dynamics, thermodynamics, fluids. I thought these are nice, but in industry, it was a little scary because I didn't know how I was going to apply myself in industry. So I actually started out, wanting to go into industry when I first started at UB. I thought, okay, I'm going to go into industry, get a job at Lindy, which is where my dad works at for over like 23 years now. But when I got into my sophomore year and my junior year, I thought, I don't know, because I actually liked what the professors were doing. The inspiration originally came from Dr. Salick. I saw him teaching teaching thermo, and I thought, that's cool. I want to do something like that. Like, it seems really inspiring. I like showing future engineers what they need to do, um, how to apply these equations, how to apply theory, and use it in the real world. Then it came to heat transfer, and I learned from two professors because it was during the COVID era. So in the beginning, I learned from Dr. Mollendorf. And then further on, I learned from another professor who was here. He was teaching the course as well. So he taught the rest of the online course. And the way they taught the course, the way they had an interaction with their students, the way they taught them, the way they it felt like an own club based on that particular subject. So I thought, this is something I want to do. I want to teach people how to do this stuff. And I actually saw a YouTuber online. He's from like a Texas community college. And so he started doing lectures and video lectures. So I wanted to start up with something like that and make some video lectures. I haven't gotten around to it yet. But I like the idea of teaching. So then when I was an undergrad, I thought, you know what? I would like to become a professor. The only halt or the big block in the road was to do a PhD because you got to get a PhD to become a professor. So I went to various professors, tried to see if I could start out with my master's, tried looking for professors. I tried Dr. Salick. I thought maybe I'll go up to him, maybe try to approach. Then I said, let me keep on looking because I didn't know what I want to research. It was between fluids, thermo, and heat transfer. But in my last semester of being an undergraduate, I took a course called Energy Systems, and it was with Dr. Mollendorf. And I liked the way he taught the course. He was very inspiring. And I figured with the amount of experience that he has, and especially with heat transfer mainly being taught by him, I feel like I would like to teach a class like heat transfer, fluids, or thermo. So I went to him and I said, hey, I am really interested in becoming a research student of yours, and I want to become a professor. So I want to start out getting my master's degree. So then I became a grad student. And it was actually within one night where I decided, let me become a grad student. Became a grad student, did my research. I'm doing it with Dr. Desjardins and Dr. Mollendorf. But I wasn't a TA for heat yet because the main professor who taught the course, he put in a nomination, but his students came in first. I don't know how it works. So then I became a TA for Dr. Khan in machines and mechanisms. Enjoyed that actually. It took me a while to get used to machines, so I had to review like everything from there. I knew more about heat than I did machines, so I don't have to look back at the textbook for heat all the time. But then, now we're here in 2023, and he's teaching me how to teach heat. So when the time comes, when I do get my PhD and I can teach here, this is a type of course that I like to teach. So where does the inspiration come from? I've just always had that, like ever since I was young, I always liked being a leader. I liked being a leader, showing how the younger ones to do things and help them grow as a person. And so that went from just being a mentor to this, teaching.
I completely agree with you, and I'm looking into becoming a professor as well. I don't know if I'll do my master's right away. I kind of want to do some industry, but that's great to hear. Like I feel like I might follow your footsteps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great actually. That's good actually. And I think you kind of see where I'm coming from with the inspiration is that when you look at someone teaching it, and like I said, it's just part of that thing when I was younger. I mean, you guys are practically mentoring people with the student community that you guys are holding. That's amazing. So like, I used to do things like that when I was in high school. I used to like mentoring other people. When people came up to me and asked me questions about what to do on a homework, I actually loved explaining to them what to do, tell them how the process works. And I still enjoy it to this day. So this is something that I want to live. I wanted to live long lasting and make it a career.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
what makes you choose heat transfer over any other class like fluids or machines?
I like fluids. Fluids is good. The reason I like heat transfer is based on the fact that I like things involving with energy. The transfer of energy has always interested me. So it did involve a bit of fluids when we got into like, I don't know if have you taken fluids yet?
Of course.
Yeah? Okay. So there was a little part of fluids that I really liked about it with energy, mass, and momentum. All these courses are like related together, thermo, fluids, and heat transfer. They're all related one way or another. Just different subscripts, different equations. They all came from the three simple conservation equations: conservation of mass, momentum, and energy. So I like the fluid, and actually, if I had to say, it'd be more the fluid and thermal sciences area that I like a lot. But why heat so much? Because it blends all that stuff together. Blends in, like in convection, you learn about fluids and how it mixes in with energy transfer. That stuff interests me. I like the way how, if I were to look at a coffee cup, my mom challenged me. I said, one day, here's your cup of tea. She said, okay, Mr. Engineer, go ahead and figure out the cooling rate of this coffee cup for me and tell me how long it'll take to cool after 25 minutes. I said, challenge accepted. So the very next day, this was last summer. So the very next day, I went downstairs. I lit an energy balance of the coffee cup. I started doing everything like convection, radiation, evaporation, and I learned from an advanced heat transfer course about mass transfer. So there's something that we don't cover called evaporation. But the stuff interested me, and I really liked how learning about how things heat up, cool down, knowing how long it takes, the spatial variation, that stuff interests me. When it came to fluids, I liked it a lot, but it wasn't as interesting. It wasn't. It didn't. It didn't feel like something that I wanted to teach more so than heat transfer. I just like energy transfer, really.
Yeah, so I think that the professor that teaches a class, they really have an impact that goes beyond the course. And I've been inspired, for example, for my physics teacher, when I was in ninth grade, he really inspired me to pursue engineering just because he really made it fun. And there's just something about him that just got to you. And yeah, I feel like that's what inspired me. And I admire that, you're here to inspire others as well. And I feel like other people will be motivated to pursue certain things because even the class that you're teaching this year, and in the future when you actually do become a professor.
Yeah, absolutely. The inspiration came from Dr. M, like I said. I like the way how he looked at like all these different types of equations, explained them how they work. Um, there's actually a reason why I like more fluid and thermal sciences over like dynamics and statics and solid mechanics and all that stuff. I've just never really been one to find. I mean, they're good classes, so you have to learn them to do engineering, right? They're an essential component to engineering. But I've always liked things with mass, energy transfer, fluids, because that's a lot of what engineers will deal with. Um, Maybe making like a plumbing system in a building, or like the air conditioning system in a building. That stuff interests me more than the architecture of the building itself. And so to teach it is more inspiring to me. That's the way how I feel.
Yeah, so one thing, so education is one thing and your career is one thing. But I noticed on the side that you pursue streaming and that you kind of do a little GTA role play here and there.
Yeah, actually, when I was young, I wanted to become a police officer. It's crazy how changing from police officer to mechanical engineer became. But I wanted to become a police officer when I was young. And actually, a long time ago, I used to play a game called GTA 4. My sister got it for me. And believe it or not, my dad said, no, he can't play GTA 4. He can't get GTA 4. He's not allowed to. But my sister bought it and snuck it for me and got me to play it on my PS3. First console I ever played. I loved it. And I thought, like, GTA 4 is fun, but it can get a little dried out after a little while. So I said, I want to play with a different set of mods, put some different things in the game, differentiate it. But you can't do that on a PS3. So I'd gotten my tiny little laptop that I had a long time ago, tried to install the game. The entire laptop crashed because it wouldn't work. So then I finally got a desktop. My dad found out that my sister got me GTA 4. I've been playing it for like 4 years or so. Got me a computer. And I'd watched a YouTuber who actually was, I watched a YouTuber who was actually playing GTA 4 with all these different mods. I thought, wow, this is so cool. Like, I want to do that. I want to become a YouTuber. And the main reason was because the way that YouTuber did it, which was making people laugh, I wanted to make people laugh. So you might notice sometimes I have a comedic personality to me a little bit. I can be humorous. And so I like the way how he did his content. So it inspired me to do some on mine, but I had a pretty bad computer, right, to say the least. So then the inspiration went on. I started doing it for like years on end, even when I got into UB as a mechanical engineering student. And the thing that kept it going was the fans. They really enjoyed it. They liked the way how I did it, the way my knowledge is of law enforcement. When it came to, like, because I learned it when I was younger. So I started watching all these different videos on YouTube, body cam videos, law videos from lawyers and things like that. Learning how law enforcement or being a law enforcement officer should work. But obviously I didn't want to do it as a career and the main reason why, because I didn't think I was fit. I don't think I could run a whole 9 yards chasing someone. Like I think I would give up maybe at the first like couple of minutes, you know, like that's it. So my second option was I like innovation and design. So I went to mechanical engineering. Totally different than what I thought. I didn't know it was going to involve mathematical modeling, anything like that. So I questioned why there was calculus this, calculus that. But anyways, I'm digressing. The streaming was the motivation for the fans. They really loved it. So I started improving my setup over time. And even though I still continue roleplay, I'm trying to keep on going with that destiny as I'm being a professor and eventually branch out to different things in gaming. And what I plan to do in the future is that when I do become a professor, I want to open a second YouTube channel. And that's mainly going to be about all the stuff that I would teach. And I would actually teach the whole curriculum. I would do Calc 1, Calc 2, DiffEq, Calc 3, statics, dynamics, blah, 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 all the way to the very end. So, yeah, that's where I plan to take this thing.
Yeah, that's totally revolutionary. You're pretty much teaching the whole engineering curriculum from the ground up for free. So anyone could become an engineer.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's insane. And so yeah, what does it take? So like, you've been really successful with this YouTube thing. You've been really successful teaching. Even just as a graduate TA, like you took over and like everyone just knows how good you're doing and everyone appreciates you so much. It's like, what's the difference between you and like just anyone else?
That's a good question. It's probably a hard question to answer. If you had to say, when you say that question, when you say different, do you mean like in terms of like what exactly?
Yeah, so like what makes you so successful in what you do? That's pretty much the question.
Oh. Well, first and foremost, I can tell you that the streaming stuff and the YouTube stuff made me more of an outgoing person. I used to be more introverted, so very quiet. I never used to talk to a lot of people. But then when I did streaming and I watched other people and they talked about how talking can be such an important thing, like communication. So I went from being very quiet to a very outgoing person, almost saying like 1,000 words per minute. And sometimes I can speak really fast. So because one part was being outgoing, the other part was being a mentor. So I like teaching people things, even if it was as simple as asking like, why is y equals x squared a quadratic, like why is it parabolic? I'll go on a whole tangent and tell them why it is. And I love it. And I get satisfaction from it. So being a mentor or sort of like a teacher helped me appreciate that. And also having a camaraderie. Like the one thing that I think as a professor that I would do, which I know some professors do, and there's no discredit to them. But if it was me, you won't see me in like an hour and 20-minute lecture just talking and that's it. I like to engage with the people. I love engaging with people. I engage with people every day. In heat transfer, at home, on the internet, when I play games, I engage with people and I engage with them clearly and effectively. So those three components all together, I think I wouldn't say make me different from another person, but that's what makes me who I am today. So being outgoing, being a mentor, and also just the third factor, like I said, just all those three factors combined is I think what makes this teaching experience different for me than most people, I think, maybe, if you had to say.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I feel like your leadership, like not only outgoing, like you're a leader, you're a mentor, and like we appreciate that. We appreciate your teaching. And so you mentioned your research with Mollendorf, correct? What exactly, like, do you want to go dive deep into what you're doing with him?
So right now I'm doing research with him on wood stoves, combustion wood stoves. And my research is mainly based on finding like, you know what wood stoves are, right? Like both of you ever heard of wood stoves? No? So it's almost like a home fireplace. So like usually actually my relatives over in Canada have it. So you see a lot in Canada, over in Alaska, maybe perhaps. It's over, everywhere in the world, but mostly in a lot of like colder areas because it's more of like a fireplace, but it's really efficient, depending on how you design it. So what we decided to do, well, there's actually a wood stove out there. So like you burn it up, close the gate, and I can actually show you videos on it if you want. And you light the fire and it burns up and you feel the nice, warm heat around you, but then all the stuff leads to exhaust. So it's more of like an efficient fireplace, so to say. And so what we're trying to design, if I had to say in shorter words, or what we're trying to research, is what happens when you put a catalytic converter, or like a catalyst. You know what catalytic converters do, right? Mm-hmm. So what happens when you put a catalytic converter in that wood stove that basically prevents dangerous emission of carbon monoxide out into the air, like the open space in the atmosphere? What happens when you put that? Well, what I'm researching is to find the thermal efficiency of having a wood stove that has that catalyst as opposed to one that doesn't. And so that's what I'm researching right now for my thesis. My dissertation is going to be a little bit different when I do my PhD. Can't quite disclose it yet, but it's actually a very exciting opportunity that I've been granted with actually for the past couple of days. So I'm excited wherever that path takes me.
Very cool. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I feel like a lot of students, like in their freshman, sophomore years, like they don't really know anything about any of the research opportunities. When did you start looking into the research opportunities, and when did you reach out to Dr. Mulder?
Good question. It was actually during my senior year. I didn't think I would get involved in research so much. I thought I would do research on my own, like the coffee cup or all the other stuff I've been doing at home. Things on my own. But I knew that I couldn't publish papers on those. You can't. Well, you could, but like with the help of a professor, getting a grant to do these certain things, bigger experiments are much nicer. So when I became a senior and I wanted to become a professor, I knew that I had to go into research. Believe it or not, research was one of the things that I wasn't excited about doing. I wasn't, because I didn't know what kind of research opportunities would be open to me. So Dr. Mollendorf told me, well, we do have a research group for wood stoves, and it's with Dr. Desjardins. He's an aerospace engineer professor. He teaches propulsions, combustion, and I think CFD2, if I'm not mistaken. So with him and Dr. Mollendorf, with this massive project that's funded by the New York State Department of Energy, what they planned to do was, or rather just the Department of Energy by itself, they wanted to do a lot of research on these wood stoves. And of course, Dr. Desjardins on the side does research with rockets, like hybrid rockets. So it's cool. So I started exploring all these different research opportunities with first Dr. Mollendorf. And I was originally just going to go with that one trick and just go with it. But I was going to go try to, talk to different professors that, like Dr. Battaglia. She has a research lab of her own. I think it's called Ascent, ASCENT. Dr. Khan has one of his. There were a lot of different professors for research. But I didn't know, I guess that's one of the things I wish UB kind of showed me before I became a graduate student, which they do in a graduate seminar. They have these graduate seminars, and it's a required course that you take when you're a graduate student. And then they showed me all the research opportunities. I didn't know that I could wait and apply as a thesis graduate student and yet try to find these different research opportunities. I didn't know where to look. So one thing I wish that UB did was to show you all these research opportunities beforehand. Maybe make like a little nice little seminar, or like an orientation for some students that would tell them all about these research opportunities. Because UB could use more researchers. They really could. The more researchers, the more better. So I didn't find out until I spoke to professors. And so when I spoke to Dr. Mollendorf, I actually liked the idea of the whole wood stove project. So I joined him on it. I didn't seek out any other professors. But then when I became a graduate student and I took the graduate seminar, they started talking about all these different kinds of research opportunities. And I thought, wow, they're cool, but I'm already have a path set. I know where I want to go with this. So it was like, I'm already in the water, can't come back out, that's it. But it was cool to know that all these different professors in the ME department have all these different research opportunities in multiple different fields: fluid thermal sciences, dynamics and control, robotics, things like that.
Yeah, so that's like a main goal of MAESC is on our platform and on our social medias, we want to make it accessible at any time to see all the different research opportunities for all the different fields of engineering. And not even just that, but just inform people on the disciplines of engineering. You know, some people are more business minded, some people might be more attracted to like technical sales. Other people really like fluids and just the different fields that are provided. So we really want to like direct people on their path, whether it's through career mentoring or anything like that, where they can prepare for what internships to land, what jobs to go for, and really like what's out there as far as in engineering.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's good. Um, I wish there was a way for MAE to advertise these more, you know, and especially with a student community like this, I think this is great. This is why that I want to, when you guys send me all your links in the end, I want to post it to all those heat transfer students because I think they could use that, for students who are not. Like the one thing I was told by another student from NU, she actually is related to. It's a relation with my mom's side of the family. So when she graduated from NU as a law student, to join the FBI, the one thing she told me was get involved. Get involved. The first thing I did was I got into student clubs and I got into ASME. ASME was actually really good. We had two different kinds of projects that I was involved in. They had the human powered vehicle, something like that. I don't remember what it was. Then they had Solar Splash. So it's basically like a boat that's operated by solar panels. And we worked on the hull and things like that. It was amazing. Very beautiful. And then we had battle bots. You might have heard of those in the student union every now and then. So I got into those student clubs. But one thing that I wish they advertised just as much is the research opportunities. Maybe professors looking for researchers and whatnot. And the undergraduates can join that. Like we have undergraduates in our research group who are still researching, certain stuff to help us out. And in the long run, they get something good on their resume, but also they could also be part of a paper. Works out in the long run. It's a win-win. So I think that if this was more advertised more often by MAE themselves, it'd be perfect. You'd have a lot of researchers.
For sure. So did you, in undergrad or after, have you ever had an internship anywhere and did you get into industry that way? Or just you're set on being a professor, getting your PhD?
That's my main goal. Is I plan to like when I was looking at internships, obviously I did get the chance to go into one, which was nice, and that was gonna be with Lindy. But like I said, when I saw what I saw, like Lindy is good. Lindy is a perfect company. It's nice, but I think that just for me at least, just going straight to being a path to become a professor is exactly where I want to go with my career. And I don't know. I couldn't imagine myself in an industry, really, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I know that you're very busy doing all the things that you do, but when you do have free time, what do you do with it?
Excuse me. What do I do with my free time? Believe it or not, when I am done with whatever I need to do whether it's with my research, if I have a cutoff for the day and I'm like, okay, I'm getting frustrated, that's it. Or maybe I kind of figured out what I need to figure out for the day and I'll come back another day to keep on going at it. I take baby steps with that stuff. So I start with something, try to achieve it, call it a day, go the next day and start whatever I have to do next, right? And then when it comes to heat transfer and courses and things like that and being a TA for it, in my free time, it just ends up becoming YouTube. So I go home, I do YouTube, make videos, but sometimes I don't have enough time and YouTube becomes a little bit of a chore because you got to go in editing and just uses a little bit of your brain power to become creative. And I think once your brain power is already wasted on doing TA and research, it's kind of like maybe not today, like maybe no videos today. So videos for me have become a little bit lackluster. So I spend time playing Overwatch, a game that I truly enjoy. You might hear it a lot from me. I love Overwatch. I love playing Overwatch. And then I call it a night. That's it. So I just enjoy my game time on games, and if my family's around, which if my dad is in town, you spend time with them. Over the weekends, I always go to Toronto, so I always go visit my family up there, enjoy my time with them and whatnot. Um, Very pleasant time, especially with the weather becoming so good. We do a lot of barbecue and stuff like that. So I look forward to every weekend whenever I have to go up north. I'm glad you asked that. Believe it or not, my inspiration for success did actually come from video games. And it was actually from GTA 4 and a game franchise called Metal Gear Solid. Have you ever heard of it before? No? Very interesting series. It's a set of video games that were made between 1999 to about well, actually they started in the 80s, but like it was like the bit games and whatnot. But like the real good games started when it was like 19 in the 1990s, like late 1990s, and it went to like 2002, 2006, and whatnot, in 2008. There's a character in there that will always inspire me to keep on trying, no matter how much I run into roadblocks. His name is Solid Snake. So like he always runs into roadblocks in all these games and the storylines. He has to defeat the villain, and he realizes that the biggest hunch ahead of him is all these different enemies and all these different replications of his DNA. And so he falls into a bunch of roadblocks, a bunch of situations, and when he gets into trouble, he knows how to get himself tangled out of it. And that's what I liked about him a lot. So it inspired me to do the same when I was in school and an undergraduate, and I would look at these assignments and I'd be like, okay, that's my enemy. I gotta take out the enemy and go on to the next one to keep on taking them out. And so I just love the way how he is. He inspires who my I guess inspiration for success is. And then from GTA 4 it'd be Nico Bellic, because no matter how much no matter how much he tries, the biggest thing for me is that when I grow older, my mom and dad have always looked after me. And my mom, she's one of the best. Like no matter what, I have an allergy to chicken. So if she ever makes like anything that has to do with chicken, like any kind of meal with chicken in it, and I can't eat it because she knows I have an allergy, she will on the side make me a separate awesome dish. And I'm just like, that has to be the best mom in the world. You know, I love her so much. She's an amazing person. My dad, he's helped me all throughout the way. In the beginning of college, I couldn't pay my own tuition. He helped pay it for me, you know, and that's an honest thing for me to admit, that he did pay my college tuition, and I appreciate that. You know, obviously when I became a TA and started becoming a senior and a graduate student, I started to pay for my own, but he's helped me throughout those little hurdles. So with that in mind, when I grow older, Nico Bellic always looked after his family in GTA 4. Likewise, when I grow older and I'm a professor, well settled and everything like that, I plan to look after my parents just as much as they looked after me. Whether that be making them dishes or, getting anything that makes them happy. I mean, money doesn't buy happiness, but I feel like love does, and that's what I plan to do.
That's what life's about. That's totally what life's about. And I have a similar story. Like, I love my mom to death. I love my dad to death. And I feel like that's truly where the inspiration comes from.
Yeah.
For sure. I can agree too. My mom's an aerospace engineer, and I kind of followed her in those footsteps, but like I grew up loving like design and all that, so that's what got me into engineering. But yeah, they've helped me so much, and it
awesome.
Really, yeah, parents are amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so any movies you like to watch? Maybe you're more of a video gamer, but like, do you have like any movies or TV shows that stuck with you?
TV shows for sure. Movies not so much. So like kind of movies have kind of dwindled down over the years a little bit.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. I like the old school films.
Yeah, exactly. The type of movies I used to like when I was younger was horror movies. So I used to like watching The Conjuring and Annabelle and things like that. I don't know why. They were always cool. TV shows that I like a lot. Um, First and foremost would be Breaking Bad. I always loved Breaking Bad, and I just love seeing how it starts as, I mean, whatever they do all the time is bad, so I'm not endorsing whatever they do is good, but it becomes inspiring where, even though, have you watched Breaking Bad?
Of course,
I have that.
I've seen it
No?
a few times. You haven't seen it,
I've never
Jordan?
seen it.
You've got to watch it. You've got to watch it.
I
It's
will.
so awesome. Um, went from a guy who teaches chemistry in a high school to wanting to make, I can't quite say it over the stream, obviously, but he makes what he makes to make a lot of money. And I think with the way how high achieving he is, I actually endorse him for that. I mean, he got a little greedy towards the end, I think, where he started to make too much money to the point where his wife couldn't even count how much he made. So I wouldn't want to do something like that, but like the way how he works hard to make what he makes pure and completely pure, I plan to do that same exact thing when I'm a professor. So this way, the teaching experience is enjoyable for everyone else involved, which I think you guys enjoy it. Everyone else enjoys it. Maybe that one apple or two apple who may be like, I don't like this guy at all. But
I don't know who they could be.
I don't know. Sometimes when I look at the Discord, I get a little nervous.
You're so helpful in the Discord.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And then another show that I really liked a lot. I guess you're asking what TV shows I liked. I'm a little bit of an old head, so I like Seinfeld.
Okay.
That's another show I liked. And then two other shows I got into actually this last couple of years. They're really popular shows, but I never thought about watching them. The one I just got finished watching about a couple months ago was Stranger Things. I love that show a lot. Very good choreography and everything like that. And The Walking Dead. I don't know why that show always was pretty cool, but if you had to ask what shows I like, those are the 4 shows I like. So
You gotta watch The Last of Us, man.
I know. My friend has been bullying me to get HBO Max so I can go watch it. But I get so lazy and I'm just like, I'll pick it up another day. But
Me too.
HBO Max is where it's at. I am the biggest endorser for HBO Max. They have the most quality stuff, and I love them. Also, back to Breaking Bad. I think, he tried to be good all his life. He tried to do the right things, and unfortunately, just life just happened to him. And then when he came down with cancer, he's like, you know what? Like, I have nothing else to lose, and he just lived life. He just took it to the max. And he did it with like the wrong way, and the wrong means, but I feel like you can take it to the max in a good way and also be successful that way.
that's true. No, you're right about that. And I think that when it got to the point of where he was becoming too greedy with the money, he didn't realize how much of an impact it was having on his family. To keep on hiding the lie, keep on making weird stories up when he gets home, try to make explanations, to where people would be like, "What are you even talking about?" It started to get weird to his whole family, and it ruined him because he has a brother who's a DEA agent. So that got even worse. And the biggest thing about that show is that my anxiety always increased because I get immersed into a show, so I get immersed with the characters. I'm like, oh my God, what is he going to do next? Like, what's going to happen? And the director of that show, the creator of it, he leaves like really like anxious cliffhangers that make you like almost bite your nails because you don't know what's going to happen next. And you get upset because the show's over. So you're not going to wait another week for that to come back on. But the nice thing about me, or the nice thing about Netflix and watching it like not in 2008, 2013, was it's all on Netflix. So I can just watch the entire thing. And if you like HBO Max, then I definitely know that you like The Sopranos 100%.
Oh yeah. Watched that a number of times.
Yes. It's a good show.
Yeah, Sopranos is good. Entourage, I really recommend that.
I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, it's a hidden gem. So Mark Wahlberg is, I believe he's the executive producer, and it's loosely based on him. And it's about starting out in Hollywood. So he's broke, but they just live like outside of their means. So like when I say broke, he's not actually broke. Like he has millions of dollars, but then like it starts running out because they live so expensively, and then now they have to grind and they really have to push for the next movie and just like collaborating with agents and just Hollywood and networking and just believing in yourself. Yeah, I think that just goes a long way. It's just really believing in yourself and just having a true inspiration with what you do.
I might have seen a YouTube Shorts clip on it. Wasn't Leonardo DiCaprio in it at one point?
Maybe he was. I'm not entirely sure.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, but it's really good.
That's good. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, you gotta get HBO Max, man. They're changing it now to Max, not HBO Max, and they're adding some TV shows, and they also have Batman. Oh, not Batman. So they do have the Batman movie, but they're coming out with a new show called, I believe it's The Penguin.
Yes. Yes.
Have you seen that?
No, but I've heard of it.
Yeah. So, have you watched like the newest Batman?
I believe the one that came out a year or so ago, right? Yes, I did. That was a really good movie.
So remember the guy, I believe it's Colin Farrell, he plays the Penguin?
Yes.
So making a whole show revolved around him.
What? That's awesome. Okay, I gotta check that out for sure. He was so funny. He was so funny in the whole movie. That's actually two recent DC movies I liked. There was actually only 3 I liked. Or no, 4. I will always love Wonder Woman. I don't know why. Wonder Woman has been one of my most favorite heroes of all time, so I love Wonder Woman. I liked Green Lantern, and I really wish they continued with it to show all the different other different lanterns and things like that. Like there's Yellow Lantern and Black Lantern. Like I even read all the comics, so I loved Green Lantern. Then I really loved the Joker, the recent one that came out, the one that came out a couple or so years ago. That was a really good movie. And then I liked the Batman movie, obviously. So those are my 4 favorite top DC movies. But I'll have to check it out. The Penguin.
My earbuds died.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
Fine, right? Because it's your audio.
No, yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you through all your experiences, because you have so many, what's your advice to undergrads right now?
Good question. It's gonna sound very vague, but time management has always been a factor that among myself and my friends we've experienced. See, as humans, I'm no psychologist, but we tend to push things to the last minute. We look at the due date. Let's say today's May 3rd today, right? We look at a homework due May 5th. We're like, oh, I got a couple days to do it, whatever, right? But you can't think like that because you don't realize that when you look at that one due date, that's just one course. But as an undergraduate and a junior especially, you have all these other courses. And in junior level, they're the hardest courses. Thermo, or no, maybe not thermo, but heat, fluids, machines and mechanisms, aerodynamics, aerospace structures, applied math, all that stuff. They don't realize that one due date is for one course. What happens is that might be a week, that might be given to you a week from now. So maybe let's say it's May 1st or May 3rd today, and we give you homework due May 10th. You might think I have a whole week to do it. I'll just brush it off for May 9th. Can't think like that. Because then you have other courses that will start to give you assignments. And let's say if they're this course where you only have 5 days to do it, and then it's due within 5 days, you don't realize that 5 days could be a huge, large amount of time that you invest into the homework only. And maybe that homework that's due on the 10th could also be pretty difficult. So what you don't realize is that what you learn in the lectures is nice and all. You get a good basic understanding of everything. You read the textbook maybe for that particular course to understand a little more about the problems and things like that, or the physics or the equations, whatever it is. But what you don't realize is you can't manufacture time. Start ahead of time. If you got an assignment due May 1st, if you're free, don't waste the time. Free up your weekends so you can enjoy yourself. When I was an undergrad, the one thing I did was I didn't free up my weekends. When I was an undergraduate student, I would spend my time doing EE circuits homework, with the formatting and things like that. I feel like I could have wasted less time doing all that format ahead of time and do it for every single homework. Because I know he gave the professor who taught it, which is Dr. Reyes, you give about 5 questions per homework. I just lay out the entire format, like known, find, assumptions. Just keep those sheets for you, so this way whenever you do the homework, you don't have to worry about it. And I did that, and actually that's one advice for lab courses too. When you take lab courses, like especially 338 next semester, I think that's what you guys are taking, right? 338?
Yeah, MA lab too.
When you take 338, start with like you'll be told what labs you're gonna do. So like heat exchanger lab, transient conduction lab, blah blah blah. Start out with like all like like he'll give you the whole manual. So start out with like the background and theory. Write all that stuff. So when you do the analysis and the equations and the solving and stuff like that, it takes less time for you to do. And you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about formatting, you don't have to worry about writing that whole background and theory. It's already all done because you did it like a few weeks in advance. So whatever opportunity you have time, like whether that be formatting or given assignments ahead of time and maybe not told us to until some date later on, start on it. Get it, put it piece by piece. You don't have to do the whole thing in a day. Attack it piece by piece. In our class we have 2 homework problems per homework, right? Okay, maybe let's say if it was a homework given to you by today, do Friday, or maybe let's say it was Monday today and do Friday. You have 5 days to complete it. Maybe it's a really difficult homework. It's a new topic, so you just learned it. You won't be able to do it all in a day so easily because you're still learning this stuff. So when you attack it piece by piece, like first, okay, on the first I'm just maybe going to do a part of the problem on the first problem, and then I'm done. Tuesday, attack the other part while you do your other assignments. Wednesday, keep on attacking it. Maybe you have free time, so maybe you keep on doing more because you realize you have nothing to do on Thursday. Attack it more, and that's it. So I feel like time management is the biggest thing for students. And I think that's the biggest thing that causes students to not learn as much because they look at time and they're like, I don't have enough time. But you do. Everyone has enough time. What you don't realize is when you waste the time on other stuff that is not important to getting things done, then you just wasted like all your potential. And when you complain that there's not enough time, well, you can't manufacture time. It's because you didn't take the effort to do it early. So time management, I think, would be my biggest advice.
Awesome. As soon as I had more free time once I quit softball, I was like looking at all the office hour schedules and looking at when the homeworks were due, and I'm like, I'm gonna go that day, and I make sure I start it before I go to ask questions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're really good with that. I do see my office hours very, very much quite a lot, asking good questions.
Thanks.
So while you're on this podcast, like, was there really something that you really just felt pressing to share, or just anything that comes to mind that you just want to communicate to everybody else?
The one thing I said to communicate is I'm happy to be in the position I'm at. And obviously I appreciate you guys for even asking me these questions, bringing me on the podcast today. I appreciate it. And I'm going to say for those who I am a TA for, or whoever I do teach in terms of being supervised, I appreciate teaching for you. And one thing I definitely value is feedback. So I guess if I would say one thing to the entire MAE, the entire MAE department, with all the students in it, is if I ever do become a TA for you, or if I end up teaching for you in the future, I'm really happy to do it. And the one thing that I've always encouraged people to do with me that I think they should do a lot with their other professors, always ask questions. You always should. When I was an undergrad, I got too timid of asking questions because I thought asking a question could be dumb. Until Dr. M told me there's no such thing as a dumb question, right? It has to be answered. Ask questions, get clarification. The one thing that when I was an undergrad, the one thing I always did was if I knew I couldn't complete an assignment on time, ask for an extension. It can't hurt to ask questions, because what are they going to do to you? Have a gun to your head and tell you no, you can't ask a question? No, right? Once you ask a question, in the side of a mentor, a professor, you're stuck with that question, and you know that you have to answer it one way or another, whether it take, some time to answer it, or you answer it instantly, or maybe you don't answer it at all and you have to answer it in like an email. You're going to have to answer that question, because as a mentor, that will bother you if you don't answer the question. So the one thing I always tell students is ask questions. You want an extension? Ask for it. If you have so much on your plate, you got to ask for it. You won't get it unless you ask. You don't understand something in class? Ask. Why is the formula the way it is? Why is heat transfer equal to 156 watts? Why? Why is it not 98? Well, he can show you, or they can show you. Whoever it is, they'll show you. They'll answer the question. So, ask questions would be my biggest thing I like to share to all these students. Especially when I teach, I enjoy when people ask me questions so I can answer it and provide clarification. Because if you don't ask questions, then you're left with all this unknowns, and it's gonna bother you. So that's all.
All right, any finishing thoughts?
Nothing from me.
All right, yeah, we would just like to express how motivating and inspirational you are. We would like to express our gratitude for you coming and doing this with us for our very first MAESE podcast. And yeah, I don't think we could have had anyone else that would be better to have on, honestly. I think you're very genuine, and I feel like this conversation went very well. And yeah, I just wish the best of luck for all your goals and aspirations.
Thank you so much, Corey. Thank you so much, Jada.
Thank you so
I appreciate it. And I think whoever, whether you become a graduate student or not, whether you stay at UB or not, let's say in your future you want to go to industry and you want to graduate with a bachelor's and that's it. I hope the legacy of this student community continues. Whoever gets passed down to, it should continue. And I wish I had something like this when I was a student. This is a really awesome thing to have. Bringing everyone together, if it's a big heat transfer exam coming up, study it together. That's the best way to do things. Have peers, make friends. And maybe you're new to the college and want to make friends. This would be so perfect. So if I were you, pass down the legacy and keep it going. Keep on going with this. This is really good. And I'm proud of you too for even doing it and whoever else is involved. I know there is one other person who's in the class with us who is involved, but I don't know what her involvement is, but I know she's part of it. Somebody else, yes.
For sure. And you touched on it, it's all about the community, and honestly UB has felt like a family to me, and I'm so proud to be a part of this community. And yeah, and you said about the professors and their teaching styles and making it like a community, and so yeah, I agree, and it makes it so good to be learning here,
Yeah, 100%.
All right, it was real. Thank you so much. We'll wrap it up. Thank you everyone for watching.